All right, y'all. What is good, God's vibes? We've got a special guest interview today. We have Maura with us. And if you don't know Maura, you need to know Maura. But Maura joined the Courage Co community, and she is actually in the Spirit Driven Success Life Coach Certification program and is going to share a little bit about her experience. So, welcome, Maura, to the God's Vibes podcast.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
It's so fun that you're here. Who knew that you would be here?
Who knew?
The Lord knew.
Lord did. He did. He absolutely did.
So good. So, tell the folks that don't know you a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. I've been a follower of Christ my whole life. It has just been deep delved hard the last year. I found SDS through a friend of mine who just happened to post something, and I just kind of called her and said, "What is this?" And she introduced me to your podcast and introduced me to Courage Co. and the Mighty app. And away I went. And I have been so glad I deep delved into this.
Yes, it's so good. And you've been in faith walking as well. You've been a part of a lot of the ambassador opportunities as well. But what led you specifically to the Spirit Driven Success Life Coach certification?
I just had a calling.
Mm.
And he just kept saying, "Do it. You need to do this."
Mm.
I love to interact with people. I think part of it is not only to interact with other people on a different level, but to learn a little bit more about me. Um, I found so much in depth through the podcasts, like that really targeted my heart and said, "Ooh, you need to work on that," or "Ooh, that's why you're doing this." And as I went into SDS, I'm kind of having a lot of that self discovery along the way, which is pretty awesome. But then it allows me to have better conversations with others as well.
Yeah, that's so good. Do you have any like fun nuggets about something that you might have learned about yourself or something that surprised you that you started learning about yourself?
Um, so you know how you have those little quirky habits and you're like, where do I pick that up from? Or why am I feel like I'm hanging on to that?
Yeah.
And you like act it out on someone else.
Yeah.
And then it was like all of a sudden I went, whoa, that was a little eye-opening. And so it kind of makes you really think about uh, the observation of yourself from the outside looking in. It's wow. It's been quite intriguing along the way. So
Yeah.
just opening my heart a lot wider than it's been in the past, and that's been great. That's getting to know me, remembering who I was, remembering who I am, and as God's child, it's been just fantastic.
Yeah, or maybe even discovering parts of yourself that you didn't know were treasure that was hidden in you, right? I mean, sometimes
Right.
the Lord calls us into different parts of ourself that we haven't walked out before. It's like an invitation. And so you start to see, wow, I didn't know I was designed that way, or that that's how you wired me. And then you start experiencing it, and it's really profound. So tell me too, I love the language that you use. You were led to SDS because it was a calling. Now, somebody else might sense that too, or that might really speak to them, but break that down for somebody that's maybe got the question, how do I know if I'm called to something? What was it like for you?
So we were just in conversation, I think in a group or something, and it always keeps coming up. It keeps coming up, and I don't know, this little inner voice sitting over me on my shoulder kept saying, you need to go research that a little bit more. And
Mhm.
so I was researching a little further, and then I go, I don't know. And he's like, excuse me, can you please research that again? I think this is something that we need to look into.
Uh-huh.
And um, so I needed a lot of things to fall astray and things to come into my life in order for it to happen. And the Holy Ghost just made it happen. He's like, here it is, here it is, here it is, just do it. And I said, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
just obeying. It's just obeying, obeying your gut instincts,
Yeah.
and listening to um, the spirit from within.
I love it. So it's almost like you heard about it and then there was a stirring and then it kept being reinforced somehow. And then maybe there was some fear, there was some resistance, like how am I going to find resource for it, or how is it going to fit into my life, or how can I
Yeah.
commit to this? But somehow the Lord made the way plain for you, even resources became available. I think as
Yeah.
part of your story, they happened like immediately after you said yes or something. So you said yes and you
That,
committed and then resource became available. Share a little bit about that because I we've heard this story so many times and it's just so fun.
so yes, I said, okay, well, if you, Lord, want me to do this, I need provision. I just can't, make this happen. I need the provision for this to happen. And I got a call one day and I thought it was just to go help someone. And they said, would you like a job that can, help? Well, they just asked if I wanted a job. And I was like, um, sure. And it was absolute God sent provision that said, this is going to be it's just enough time. It's exactly what I need. And it offers a little extra. And I was like, whoa. And I was really standoffish at first. Um, and it has been just an absolute blessing. I get blessed and hand out blessings on a daily basis. And it's just been absolutely fantastic.
Amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. He just turned me right in the right direction. And it's just been fantastic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he provided for the steps. So sometimes, we hear the saying, leap and the net will appear. And a lot of times that is true. It's when we say yes, then God provides the resource. Because, in all honesty, you don't need the resource if you're not going to say yes. But he will, anything
Right.
that he's
Exactly.
guiding you into, like he will provide. Where he guides you, he will provide for it. And it's truly amazing. But we got to test and see that that's true. And that can
Yeah,
often take a lot of
absolutely.
courage.
It was a lot of courage. A lot of things had to fall into place all at the same time, and they just one right after the other, right after the other. Just
Yeah.
I think within a week and a half, I think we knew, and
Yeah.
that was pretty exciting. So yeah,
I think you even phrased it like Christmas came early. It was
yeah,
just beautiful.
it sure did.
It's so good. And then tell me too. So now when you get in there and you're just in awe that God showed up in the way he did just to get you there and it was so affirming. What started happening as you got in there? Like what was the experience? Was it meeting your expectation? What was going on when you got in there?
Well, I got in there and I was like, well, initially, we go through a lot of different phases. And so at first I was like, okay, we can do this. And then it seemed like it was getting a little more overwhelming for me. And so
Yeah.
I had to like take a breather and say, okay, Lord, I need real good help with this. And
Yeah.
I think that's been helping along with the guidance throughout the program, just listening. Just
Yeah.
listening has been really helpful, and going through each and every step and process along the way has just been
Yeah.
just fantastic. And you don't realize some things you think but you're not sure it's a confirmation, but it's a way to express it a lot differently, and um that's been very helpful. That's been helpful a lot with
I
guidance
love
and sharing, um walking more in faith and as a child of God. um Yeah, just discipling a lot more than I've ever have, and
That's
that's real
amazing. Just
cool.
from
That's real
interacting,
cool.
if I'm hearing you, right? Just from interacting with the content, it's teaching you how to really be a modern day disciple. So you're implementing what you're learning
Yes.
immediately in your life, which is beautiful because that's not exactly what you would initially think when you join a life coach certification. You're probably thinking it's just going to be coaching. And there is a lot of that. Like we have the ethics, the excellence, so much on
Yeah.
just coaching, advanced coaching, prophetic coaching, so much is on coaching, but there's so much more than just coaching, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about, is there any content that was really being highlighted to you, number one? And number two, what is maybe one of your favorite aspects of the program? Like there's definitely a lot of support. There's peer groups, there's mentor coaching sessions, there's our weekly calls, there's presentations that you have to do. There's so many I would say experiential elements that are a part of this to really lock in what you are learning. So tell me a little bit about both of those. If there's any lessons or teachings that have really stuck out, or maybe even something that's been most valuable about how the program's designed.
Oh gosh, oh gosh, you can't just choose one. That's
I
difficult.
know.
But thanks for that. Feels like you get put on the spot with that one.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's
Well, maybe like a breakthrough, right? Like when you start interacting with content, especially when you're doing it with Holy Spirit, he reveals things to you differently, or he leads you into breakthrough differently. He accelerates your transformation in beautiful ways. So I'm just curious what your personal experience is.
all right. So I think one is when we say, "Oh, this is," when you think something's happening in your life and you don't really recognize initially, and then you're like, "That has been a blessing blocker," and then it's
Ah,
like, okay, so let's go through the blessing blockers and eliminate those things that are possibly a distraction or causing me to wander in a different direction than I need to be. Um, boy, working with the other little nuggets in the world of our having to do the papers, I guess,
yeah.
or the
Like
presentations.
book reports and research papers, in school, usually those freak us out a little bit.
Well, yeah, and I think my mind was just in so many different directions and so many different levels. It really had to take time to like sit with the Lord and say, what is my calling? And he has just been flowing that right through me. And it's been sometimes I have to sit and still and I'll get all discombobulated again and I'll have to rewrite and come back up and it's like, oh, okay, that sounds fantastic. I'm like, okay, we're getting better. And most recently I had just this itty bit of information because it was just, oh, a basic outline. And then all of a sudden it was yesterday. He's just like bombarded me and I was like, okay, okay, enough is enough. I don't think I can do anymore. So it was real interesting how those things have just been arriving and in timely manners and with purpose and um gosh, just it's been divine intervention that's just been flowing and it's just been a little overwhelming sometimes when you're just like, did that just happen?
Yes.
So
Well, I love how you're
yeah.
describing this too, because there was a point where you were sharing in the beginning, like sometimes you
Yeah.
get in the program and there's like that initial excitement of like, what did I
Mhm.
just say yes to? Like, what does this even mean?
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
feel a little bit more of the weight of it because you start to experience and interact and engage with new content. And that can be overwhelming. But then you just described a different kind of overwhelm, like a good overwhelm, where
Yes.
you're really learning how to co-create with God, right? Or how to co-labor with Him or partner with Him. And that's such a different way to build. And this was, it sounds like coming from one of the presentations that you have to do. So just by saying yes to the
Yes.
presentation, you're saying yes to this invitation to birth what God wants to birth through you, which is a really
Yes.
cool thing. And that can feel intimidating at first, but then when you start to see it, when you see how detailed he is, it is
Yeah.
overwhelming, but overwhelming in a good way because you see how he's been building you for this from the beginning.
Yes. Yes. And that's just been what an incredible journey this is. It's been.
And then one of the things that you were highlighting too, right? Like one of the
Yeah.
tools, there's so many systems, tools, processes in there, and you're not even like you're probably like halfway in,
Yeah.
right? So you're not even in some of this new stuff that's coming up here. But just even understanding, we hear about blocks all the time, or we put a lot of attention on the enemy. But when you can identify what some of these core blocks are in your life, you're not as surprised by them. You can recognize them, and then you know how to respond when they show up. And that
Yes.
creates so much confidence, boldness, and it gives you authority as you start showing up and using your spiritual tools. And everything, I personally believe, everything has a spiritual root. So you might see something in the natural, but it has a spiritual root. So when you can see what's happening spiritually, then you know how to respond in the natural. And that's so, so powerful. So I love that you brought the blessing blockers up.
Oh
So, so
yeah.
good. What are you most excited about? Like, it's not random that you're experiencing this content. So what are you most excited about even months from now when you step into the world with this?
Well, that's a little nerve-wracking at the moment. I'm still taking that 1 minute at a time. So, you kind of come into this with a thought process of who you're going to help or where you're going to be.
Yeah.
And it's just becoming more and more clear in the direction that I need to go, which was a little off from what I initially anticipated where I was heading. I thought I was going in one direction and it got quickly adjusted. And I was like, what's happening?
Ah.
So things seem to be falling in place where I'm starting to meet people that I need to, that are coming into my life that are going to also assist with me moving forward. And so that's, to me, that's exciting to see. I don't know if we want to go into the programs that I'm thinking of or not, but, or who I'm planning on helping or the idea, thought process behind that. But
Well, share a little bit about that because I think that is helpful for people to hear. You don't have to share necessarily any of the intellectual property type information, but share a little bit about how you came in and you didn't know, like you're saying yes to a prompting, a calling, a
yeah.
unction from the Lord, if you will, but you didn't really know what he was going to do with that. Like on day one, you're like, I'm not really sure like what I'm going to do. And now you have a whole program.
Yeah.
So tell me about
Crazy.
how that evolved and yes, who you are called to serve and what the Lord has highlighted to you.
So initially, I thought I was going to be working more with women, and
Uh-huh.
that was kind of my initial thought process. And then there was this pivot that came in, and the Lord's like, "No, you can do that regularly, but I think there's a stronger calling working with first responders and veterans." And that pivot came so quickly. I spent 10 years as a firefighter, a volunteer firefighter, and that became such a deep root in my life. But when things go astray, they don't have the resources for assistance and they have to deal with a lot of things that they don't necessarily have access to assistance to help them through or with or anything like that. So that's kind of been the direction that I'm focusing on now. It's just come through me through divine intervention once again, like, hey, and all these veterans and their struggles and they want to talk to you anyway. So let's see if you can help them in a deep rooted way and get them to step up and step into their own role of interacting with the Lord and um, functioning on a higher level than initially anticipated or that they may have expected of themselves. There's so much information and hurt sometimes that comes, and they've seen so much that's traumatic, and it's just to allow both groups to just come forward and feel safe and be able to witness
Yes.
and see God's grace and mercy that He has to offer for them. I think um, I know it's going to be a big challenge. I know that's the challenge is going to be there, but I feel like I'm up for it.
I was just like, I'm up for a challenge. What is that like too, where it's like, I didn't know necessarily what the fullness of this call is that God is calling me into, but now that I'm sitting in it, he's bringing it all together, like things that have happened in my past or connections that maybe I thought were insignificant or seasons that I never thought that he could bring back or revive or use. What is it like to sit in that with him?
First, it's very humbling. Um, it's giving me definitely a, a purpose again.
Yeah.
Having to step away from firefighting because of a personal illness was really difficult for me.
Yeah.
And um, being able to come back in a different light and offer that not just to first responders locally, but maybe, step out a little deeper than I anticipate. And we'll see what's going to happen. But it's
Yeah.
definitely been humbling, but yet feeling like I have a sense of purpose now.
Yeah.
Like I can move forward with that and hopefully touch some hearts and make them feel calmer about some of the things that they witness on a regular basis
Yeah.
and be able to cope with that in a different way, in a different manner than maybe they're used to.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And what hope too for anybody else too that's been in seasons where they were really passionate or devoted to something for a really long time, and then it's like that gets stripped from you
Yeah.
some sort of way, and you have to go through a revival and like a reinvention of what's next? Who am I now? Right? And what is it
Yeah.
like? It's very much like, can these dry bones live? You're like, well, what do we do now together, Lord? Do you still have a plan for me? Do you still like I'm highlighting this because it takes so much courage to say yes again, to dare again, to start over relatively again, because it very much feels that way. I mean, anytime you start over, start new with the Lord, He's bringing everything that He's taken you through with you. So you're not on ground zero, like
Yeah.
it's no, we're going to use all of that. Nothing is wasted with the Lord, but it's very intimidating to our natural self because we want to think like, who am I to do this? Or whatever we tell ourselves. I'm not experienced enough, or I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too not what I need to be, basically. So how did you personally wrestle through those to get to this place of peace with God has purpose on my life, and I'm gonna be the one that takes on the challenge?
It was a deep, hard wrestle.
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Put me on the spot again.
that also happens in there.
It does, and that's okay. Yeah, what do you say? If you don't feel uncomfortable, we're not doing our job. So, um,
No, like another way to say this, and you can still speak to this, but I recently heard the greatest fear for a believer should be an explainable life. And I
yes.
was like, whoa,
Whoa.
like mic drop moment, because for real, like if you can logic and reason your life, like, are you really walking out the life of a believer? Because it should be totally unexplainable. It should be something supernatural. It should be something that you absolutely could not have seen coming. That's how the Lord works.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming. Like, not for a moment. So, um, yeah. So my struggle in the beginning, well, so let's take a little step back. If, you know, I had to have a simple surgery and then ended up not being able to walk. And that was like the biggest struggle. But boy, did I have to really come to a meeting with God. And so when
Yeah.
I had to come with a meeting to God and say, we've got to do something about this, and I'm not going to feel bad about my situation. What I need to do is start getting up and working. And
Yeah.
so we did a lot of that. And I did a lot of personal growth with him for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And so coming to this place now, again, I did not think, I'm like, oh, this is a direction I need to be going. I do have a little background as addictions professional through my, I say, previous life. And so I that's kind of the direction that I was heading. And when God says put a halt on this, what are you going to do? You're like, "Oh, hold on, wait a minute. These people probably have a lot of those same things that you're wanting to work with, but they also have a lot of other deep-rooted reasons as to why they're doing it. So let's take a look at that and grow through that." And so my struggle then became, it knocked the wind out of me. It felt like a gut punch initially, and I was like, are we sure we're going in this direction? I'm just a little woman, I'm going to be
Yeah.
dealing with some pretty big guys with some pretty big issues.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels worth it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one of them was my husband, and I've watched him rotate through this, and we're growing through this. And, having him by my side has really just been outstanding. and putting a lot of those things in perspective and what I'm able to do going forward.
Yeah.
So sorry, I got a little weepy
No,
on this then, but
it's
you know,
amazing. So you had background, was it in addiction, you said? That was what you had background in?
so actually, I was an acupuncture
Oh,
physician
acupuncture physician. Okay.
for over 10 years, but I did have a certification in addictions.
Okay.
And so that was applied in ways in my practice. And it was
Got
also
it.
kind of one of those little, I've always got something extra in my pocket if I need it. And so that wasn't like the primary focus of my practice, but it was something that was tucked away there, so I had the tool, it was in my toolkit in case I
Yes.
ever needed it.
Yes.
Um, but you know, so many things have happened in the world today that really cause people to kind of look at things it's so differently.
Yeah.
And whether they are addicted to shopping or addicted to cigarettes or whatever the case is, there is something. But what I love about this is we will go beyond that thought process, and we go into the depths of it and say, you are bigger than that and you are better than that, and as God's child you are going to come out way over the other side. And then they have such a story to tell and walk with purpose on that side, and that is exciting to me, that they can leave a lot of that negative lifestyle behind
Yeah.
and walk with new life,
Yeah.
walk in a new life with a new body, soul, spirit, and walk hand in hand with the Lord, and is going to take them to places they may never have imagined. And that, gosh, watching it happen here with the SDS program in our small groups and in our, um, different activities that we have, the different classes that we host, and learning about everybody's backgrounds and things, it's just
Yeah.
wow. It's breathtaking,
Yeah.
literally breathtaking. And in their walks, everybody's walk is just so different and it's so beautiful, and it's just absolutely you just sit in awe
I love it. I love it.
watching how
So
the
good.
Lord just takes them all and just makes everything so beautiful for them. And it's just I can't explain it.
Yeah. He says he makes everything beautiful in its time, right? So that's just so beautiful. I love, so
Yeah.
you came in, what I'm hearing you is you came in and it's like, oh, I'm thinking that I'm just gonna focus on addiction, because I have this, that's probably gonna be the direction I go. And then it went so much deeper than that. And it's
Yeah.
almost like we get uncomfortable in the deep, like the Lord takes us out into the deep, and we get uncomfortable there. And you keep excavating and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you're like, whoa, this is so much bigger than just like that's maybe a piece of it, but there's so much more that he has
Man.
designed an intention for me to partner with him in to truly bring healing and transformation and deliverance and a beautiful testimony out of those that you're called to serve. And I think it's just amazing to hear you talk about it. I'd be curious to hear too, who was Maura on like day one versus like who is Maura now?
I don't I oof. That's hard to say. You mean day one as in the SDS program,
Mhm.
or oh
Mhm.
gosh. Mm. Again, you keep doing that to me. You know I love you, but come on now. I'm just kidding. Um, so wow. That's hard to say. It's been such an interesting journey all across the board. It's not
Yeah.
uh who is more then and now. I don't know. I feel like I'm more open to love now.
Mhm.
I feel more resilient now. Um, it feels awesome to have purpose again. And those things, oof, especially with the purpose. When you aren't feeling well,
Yeah.
that plays with your mind a lot. And so you
Sure
get
does.
on your knees and you pray a lot, and you really, what do they say when you for I'm going to say any instance, if you feel like you're hitting rock bottom, regardless if it's through your health or addictions or anything, and then you're like, you got to hit that rock bottom to come back up. And it's like, so you just start praying harder and deeper than you ever have before. And it just reignites that. If you had one, it reignites it. For me, it was a reignite. Like
Yeah.
it took that little flicker to a large flame and just said, let's roll. Let's
Oh.
do it. And
Oh,
just having that purpose again, wow, it gave me literally and physically clarity of mind. And just things started falling off my shoulders a lot easier
mm,
as I started opening up my heart more and focusing on a purpose,
yeah.
than some of the other things that I've been experiencing through pain treatments and things like that has been,
Yeah.
that's a tough walk to, to ride into. And
Yeah.
mm,
It
anyway,
seems
but
too,
it's,
and I wonder if this is your experience, but it seems too in witnessing you and having the honor and privilege of walking alongside you, right? It seems like your pace has changed, like the way you approach life. Like it's definitely more by grace, right? Or even what you focus on has changed. Like there's plenty of opportunities every day to be like, look at this, look at this, this is what's happening in my life. But it's, you don't talk about that as much anymore and you just focus and redirect yourself so much faster. Does that
yeah.
feel like your experience?
Definitely. I definitely refocus myself a lot faster than I have in the past.
Yeah.
Where, sometimes you get bombarded with so many negative things in life, whether it's somebody wanting to come talk to you in different ways, or you have a
Yeah.
bad experience for the day. And yes, it's absolutely, you know, you start pruning your garden,
Yeah.
getting the weeds out,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna say that it's rainbows and roses all the time because it never is, but, a lot of those negative things that were in my life are not available.
Yeah.
I'm not available for it,
There
so
we go. There. That's so good. Oh my gosh, I love. If you
yeah.
could encourage somebody, let's say that they're maybe in a similar place that you were, even if they're considering SDS in their life, or, like I think sometimes people think, well, I'm going to do a certification so I can become a coach. Sometimes that's people experience. Sometimes it's like myself, where I just needed the tools because I never had them. And
Yes.
then other times too, it's like, how do I be a disciple? Like I've never invested in my personal development. I just need to be a stronger human so that I can parent or so that I can lead or so that I can even volunteer. Like if you actually interact with humans, you do need leadership. So I'd be curious for you to share on whoever is considering this, what sort of advice you would have for them.
Alright, well, we'll start a little bit. So, when I sat into this initially and started at that time looking more deep into the curriculum,
Yeah.
I had my husband and I sat back and prayed, and I said, I don't know if a coach is what I want to do, even though the big guy's saying, maybe you need to lean this way. I was like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. The tools that we are getting in this, it was like, that is worth every cent just for the tools.
Oh, oh yeah.
I've had sought professional help in the past,
Mhm.
and I don't think that comes close to um, the amount of tools that we are given, not just in the SDS program, but throughout all of our programs, which have been just, wow, taking you to the heart, taking you to the realization, and then understanding that there's a father who's bigger than all that is going to take care of you. And better than any human would ever do so. And that has just been absolutely intriguing. So if I saw someone and was interested in thinking about doing it, I'd absolutely say, gosh, for only your own tool bag, yes, to do that. And it's just been such a journey and makes you really think deep into yourself of maybe what you've been through, what you've gone through, and where you're heading. And if I never become a coach, boy, I sure have learned so much just to walk through life as a different human,
Yeah.
as a better human.
Yeah.
And that, for me, says a lot. You need that confidence. And sometimes, even in our long way back past, maybe as a child, we don't get that. We might not have the loving parents we always expected to have, or, what that picturesque, 1950s, the cleavers, we don't always have that. And so it's really exciting to come back and start um, working through things differently
Yeah.
with confidence now that I've never received before.
Yeah.
And so the positively, just not learning for myself, but gosh, just these women in this group.
So
This
good.
you walk into a loving community and you're like, whoa, what happened here?
Yeah.
If we could
Yeah.
just hug all day, every day, we would. Like, oh, thank you.
Well, there's
So,
a lot to be said. I mean, we believe, right? There's no competition in the kingdom and that we all need each other. And when you truly celebrate diversity and collaboration and you have healthy leadership, amazing things become possible and like the kingdom can be advanced and it's truly awe-inspiring. It's just you can't really put words to it, but to witness it or be a part of that is amazing.
yes, absolutely. It's just grace after grace.
Yeah, 100%. Well, is there anything else that maybe we missed or that you feel like adding or sharing?
I can't even imagine that we missed anything. We kind of went over so many things. Ah, I know that, within Courage Co itself, there are just so many opportunities through the different class levels and through our different programs that you offer and books and podcasts. It's just been,
Yes.
you just have so much that just any one person can dive into and just find a home here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, I want to honor you, Maura. I want to honor your yes. I want to honor your courage and just your passion. You totally are a woman that can see a challenge and that says, I'm up for it, and rises to the occasion. You become, we like to say around here, spiritual heavyweight. Not just a faith walker, but a spiritual heavyweight. And it's just an absolute privilege to be a part of your journey and to champion you and all of your exploits. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so
Thank
grateful for what
you.
you shared here today.
Thank you. It's been a journey and I'm looking forward to it continuing.
Amen.
Amen.